In January 2026, Anthropic launched Co-work, a tool that gives Claude access to a folder on your computer. From there, it plans and executes tasks on its own, reading, editing, creating files, and only updates you on its progress rather than waiting for your next instruction. You set the task and go grab a coffee. Come back, it's done. Most AI assistants require you to break work into individual prompts. Claude Co-work takes the end result and figures out how to get there itself. And here's the detail that's easy to miss. Anthropic built Co-work in 2 weeks using Claude Code, meaning AI helped build the tool that will replace your colleague in 2 weeks. A human team would have spent months on this. Anthropic's head of product for enterprise put it this way: "We are now transitioning into the era of vibe working." Just as vibe coding allowed non-programmers to ship software simply by describing what they wanted, now anyone can produce near-finished professional results. Vibe working. Remember that term. In a year, it'll be everywhere. The launch of Cowork rattled Wall Street. Tech stocks dropped sharply as investors tried to grasp the disruptive potential of this tool. But the market wasn't scared of unemployment. The market was scared of something else. Think about who survived the first wave of automation. Not factory workers. Robots replaced them 20 years ago. The survivors were those whose work was complex, non-linear, contextual, lawyers, financial analysts, project managers, people who work with documents, data, decisions. Cowork came for them. Anthropic says it hasn't yet seen signs of widespread labor market displacement. Yet. They're tracking, they're waiting, they just don't know when. Early users in 2026 are calling Cowork the first AI that actually does the work instead of just talking about it. The difference between talks and does is the difference between a calculator and an accountant. And we just got an accountant who doesn't need an office. But if that prospect scares you, wait until you hear what scared Anthropic itself. February 2025. A hotel room in Santa Clara. 5 Anthropic employees gathered around a laptop. They had just received test results. A new version of Claude could help terrorists create biological weapons. They flipped a bed on its side to use as a desk, worked for hours. And even after that, they weren't sure. Anthropic held up the model's release for 10 days. Think about that moment. A company building the future, sitting in a hotel room not knowing whether what they just created is safe. This isn't a movie scene. This is the working process of one of the most valuable companies in the world. It wasn't the last delay, and not the last reason to be afraid. On March 27, 2026, there was an accident. Around 3,000 files from Anthropic's infrastructure were accidentally left publicly accessible. Among them, draft announcements and internal materials about a model nobody had officially announced. Its name? Claude Mythos. A 4th tier, beyond Opus. Beyond anything that exists right now. Anthropic describes Mythos as the most powerful AI model we have ever developed and calls it a step change in performance. And then, in those same documents, a warning. According to the leak, Mythos is currently far ahead of any other AI model in cyber capabilities and heralds an imminent wave of models that can exploit vulnerabilities in ways that far exceed the efforts of defenders. Security systems that engineers spent years building, Mythos moves through them faster than a human can notice. Shares of Palo Alto Networks, CrowdStrike, and Fortinet dropped 4 to 6% immediately after the leak. The cybersecurity market, one of the most protected and profitable sectors, yet responded with panic. Because if Mythos ships, half the industry wakes up irrelevant the next morning. And one more detail that surfaced in those same files. Anthropic discovered that a Chinese state-sponsored group had already been running a coordinated campaign using Claude Code, infiltrating around 30 organizations, including tech companies, financial institutions, and government agencies. Over the following 10 days, Anthropic investigated the operation, banned the accounts involved, and notified affected organizations. It was happening quietly, no headlines, no press releases, and if it weren't for an accidental leak, you would never have known. Anthropic itself warns of significant risks, and is therefore planning an especially cautious, staged rollout, beginning only with organizations in the cyber defense sector. The company that built the model is afraid to release it. And there's one more detail being discussed quietly inside Anthropic. Employees began asking themselves whether they had crept to the threshold of what they had anticipated with fear and wonder: the arrival of recursive self-improvement. When AI starts improving itself and launches a flywheel that keeps accelerating, people inside Anthropic, the ones writing the code, the ones running the tests, as one of the company's executives put it, We're driving down a cliff road. A mistake will kill us, and now we're driving at 75 instead of 25. Okay, maybe this is overblown. Maybe the leak is just marketing ahead of the IPO. Possibly. Anthropic is reportedly considering going public as soon as October 2026 and has already held early discussions with Wall Street banks. And the buzz around Mythos clearly plays to their advantage. The cheapest PR in IPO history, accidentally leaving 3,000 files in a public data store. But there's one detail that's hard to fake. Due to its size and computational intensity, Mythos is extremely expensive to run. If this were just PR, they would have already shipped it. Instead, they're holding back, filtering, controlling access. Companies don't control access to things they aren't afraid of. Here's what nobody is connecting into one picture. Cowork arrived in January. Chinese hackers were using Claude quietly, for months before anyone caught on. Mythos leaked in March, and in October, Anthropic goes public. 4 events, 1 year, and none of them are coincidental. Anthropic is building the most powerful tool in history and simultaneously preparing to sell its shares to the public. Mythos exists. China already tested it, and you found out through a leak, not a press release. The question isn't whether AI will take your job. The question is who decides what happens next, and whether you're in the room. Marshall McLuhan said, "The medium changes everything before you even have time to read the message." Claude has changed. It no longer answers. It acts. It's no longer in the chat. It's in your files. It no longer waits for a command. It makes a plan, and somewhere in Anthropic's servers is a version they themselves say, "Not yet." Yes, AI will take your job. But what follows Cowork isn't just replacing people. It's a shift in who controls the infrastructure, who controls the defense, who controls the information. And here's what we at Jelvik see in practice. The companies actually winning with AI aren't trying to replace people. They use AI as a tool, but keep investing in strong engineers and system architects. Because Cowork executes tasks, but whoever sets the right tasks decides everything.